I am Dharma Master Thich Thong Lai, and I am sending the dear greetings to all the Vietnamese people who are living abroad and in the country. It is 3:30 p.m. California time, and today is January 11, 2021. Originally, I did not plan to do this live stream, but since so many disciples keep calling and emailing me to ask because it is already Monday, the 11th. There is only 9 days left before the inauguration, but the 45th president hasn't reacted yet. Is he waiting for January the 20th to hand over to Joe Biden? Ladies and gentlemen, you should pay attention. From my observation, from the past to present, the 45th president always keep his word. That is, any promises from the 45th president of the United States, he did exactly what he said. And there are many people asking me if a coup of our 45th president is happening. The truth is, a coup took place on January the 6th. If the 45th president of the United States hadn't left the White House on the afternoon of January the 6th, he is no longer the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military. So don't ask me if a coup has happened or not. What we should focus on is that the Secretary of Defense has declared that the 45th president is still the commander-in-chief of the United States military, and nothing has changed. That any day the 45th president is still in office and leads the country, the U.S. military will remain loyal to him. As far as I know, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo will have a press conference at 6 p.m. New York time today. And tomorrow, our 45th president will be in Texas to visit the new built border wall between Mexico and the U.S. to stop illegal immigrants. As a matter of fact, he is already in a bunker located in Texas. Many people asked why during this critical situation like this, when millions of Americans are anxious to wait for his decision, it is not the right time to visit the wall that protects the U.S. from illegal immigrants. But you must know that the president has to make this announcement so he can go to Texas legally under protection by the military. The event of visiting the wall is just a smokescreen. He is actually in the military base. And I want to remind you again that the president does not use Air Force One nor Marine One. In normal time, he uses this aircraft to move around. He is using the U.S. military jet for transportation for now. And I made it clear that the U.S. Secretary of State and hundreds of generals vow to stand behind the 45th president. There are many people asking me now that all the leftish media are not broadcasting for our president, and now he cannot make any statement on Twitter, Facebook, or other media platform. How will we know? I advise you to follow Attorney Lin Wood. 3 or 4 weeks ago, he said that the vice president would betray the president. and many people stoned him. Recently, we saw that whatever Mr. Linwood had said was all true. So again, please calm down. Let me tell you, in the next 10 dark days, the military court will have a stack of papers and evidence. This evidence was submitted by the National Security and the Intelligence Department. You must know that in order for the U.S. court to proceed, whether military or civil, there are hundreds of thousands of papers to process. So, according to my personal opinion, Buddhist monk Thich Thong Lai, the military court recently reviewed all the records and the evidence that was rejected and not justified by the Supreme Court. All these records will be presented by Mrs. Sidney Powell and Attorney Lin Wood. When the military judges drop the hammer, they will have full evidence in black and white to comply with the Constitution of the United States of America. Once again, I advise all the disciples, especially the elders, who call me and say that they have high blood pressure and are hyperglycemic since January the 6th rally. Since the Congress declared the 45th president defeated. Some of you told me that your symptoms is not under control even with the medication. So I want to send a message to all the elderlies in the downwind system to stay calm. Remember that the 45th president of the United States said that the journey is just the beginning, and he will not surrender. He will not hand over until all the illegal votes are removed, and the legal votes of 75 million Americans, including 2 million Vietnamese, are accepted. He also said that he will protect the U.S. Constitution, and he will not let the U.S. Constitution be tampered. So you should use your mind to think about this. The United States is the leading country of democracy and freedom. The United States has a constitution of freedom and democracy. The president cannot allow the votes of 75 million Americans to be trampled. If he allows that, then the democracy of the United States is no longer exist. If the democracy of the United States is trampled, then the democracy in Europe, Australia, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and all other countries all around the world will also be trampled upon. And if the United States does not resolve this issue, then it no longer can condemn China, Cuba, North Korea, Vietnam, and countries that violate human rights. This is my personal point of view. Please remember carefully that whatever the 45th president said, he always keeps his word and accomplishes it. We haven't seen him say something and didn't do it at all. Please trust me. If he loses, we will be sad. We might suffer, and our children will lose their freedom. But the 45th president will lose everything. The left will hunt to kill him and his family. His family has been involved in politics to help him in the past 4 years. He still has 10 more days to protect the U.S. Constitution. The 45th president is very smart. From the event of stolen Pelosi laptop to leaving the White House on January the 6th. No one knew which airport he had flown out to avoid the coup. If the military betrayed him, he wouldn't be able to stay in the military base that are located in Colorado and Texas. Once again, the 45th president declared that he has not surrendered and that he will fight until all the illegal votes are discarded and only legal votes are counted. He fights not because of himself, but because he is defending the U.S. Constitution and the Americans who support him. Once again, all the elders who take hypertension medication and insomnia during these 10 stressful days, I completely understand your feelings. Some of you told me that they count every second and minutes to pass. These 10 days are so much longer than the past 30 to 40 years they have lived in the U.S. Do not worry. The U.S. Constitution cannot be abolished. Hundreds of millions of Americans will not allow those traitors to sell their country to foreign countries. I firmly believe that the 45th President of the United States will do what he has said. In my opinion, this 10 days is the time for the military court to process thoroughly. We must watch the press conference of the Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, and the 45th President tomorrow. In 1975, the Republic of South Vietnam was killed because of President Nixon's Watergate scandal. The Watergate is one of 100,000th of this election. President Nixon had people eavesdrop on the Democrats regarding the election campaign. President Nixon was monitored meeting by eavesdropping, and eventually he was about to be impeached by the U.S. Congress. In the end, he did not wait for impeachment, but he resigned. The Paris Agreement was trampled. In the Paris Agreement, President Nixon promised that if the Northern Communists violated the agreement, he would have B-52 bombard Hanoi, and he would protect South Vietnam. The U.S. abandoned the Republic of Vietnam and lost credibility in Southeast Asia. However, things are different now. Think about Taiwan. The president of this island country is Tsai Ing. Her administration has a very close relationship with the 45th president. If he hands over to the so-called elected 46th president, China will take over Taiwan immediately. Even though it is an island nation, Taiwan is very powerful. Many of their capitals are very wealthy. They cannot leave it alone. And so will Japan. The United States can't afford to have Taiwan fall into Chinese communists and lose its credibility for the second time. I know the evidence and paperwork are processing by the military court. This process will take at least 3 to 4 days. You must wait calmly and trust the 45th U.S. President. The fight has just started, and he will not surrender until the Constitution is protected. All the legal votes must be accepted, and all the illegal votes must be discarded. These were the words of the 45th president. I have not seen the 45th president fail to keep his promises. Respectfully yours. All the old ladies, please stop calling me and crying. Stop listening to CNN and mainstream media. You should only listen to Mr. Lin Wood, Secretary of State Pompeo, and the 45th President of the United States. I wish you all calm and peace. In the next 10 days, it will be over soon. The American people understand that they lose their freedom and democracy. If the left can gag an incumbent president, then they would silence the people of the United States. If the military doesn't stand up to arrest these traitors and bring them to face justice, then the United States will become a dictatorship country. A country that doesn't have 3 branches. That is the executive, legislative, and judicial. So the U.S. Constitution is good, but the corrupted politicians are bad. The 45th president is draining the swamp. Please be calm and believe in our president. He will not coincide until the Constitution is protected. If he fails to do so, all his hotel facilities, real estates, and his descendants will no longer stand on this globe. Respectfully yours.